When it comes to meditation, you will come across two kinds of people. The first kind is those who meditate, but only as an activity that has become a habit. But then there's a rare breed of people who do not just meditate, but live through it. Their whole life becomes an act of meditation because they live mindfully. When they walk, they are mindful. When they drink tea, they are mindful. And even when they just breathe, it is mindful. These people find that divine sanctum within themselves where they can retreat whenever they want, a sanctum not available to everybody. This is best explained by a Zen story that I once heard from a monk in a monastery. A monk was once invited to the house of a wealthy man. The man had invited his family and friends to meet this monk. As the monk began speaking to the crowd, a powerful earthquake hit the city. It shook the whole building. In a frenzied panic, the guests ran downstairs for their lives. Even the rich man ran along with them. After all, who would want to stay inside a building during a tremor? In the ensuing chaos, a stampede occurred and people were trampling over each other just to get downstairs and run out of the door. As the earthquake ended and people were calming each other, the rich man realized that his guest of honor, the monk, was left behind in the house. The man rushed back into the house, worried that the unthinkable might have happened to the monk. When he went in, he saw the monk was still sitting in the same place. He hadn't moved an inch. The only difference was that he was now in a meditative state with his eyes closed. An aura of peace had engulfed him, and even though the entire city was in chaos, the monk oozed inexplicable energy of serenity. The monk appeared to be glowing as a ray of sunlight filtered through the window and illuminated his being. The man was left in awe at what he was witnessing. Even amid the confusion, the man could see how divine it all was. The man took slow steps toward the monk as if being pulled by a mysterious magnetic force. He sat down next to the monk. The monk finally opened his eyes. The man was no longer interested in listening to what the monk was speaking about before the earthquake interrupted them. He only had one question in his mind now. Why didn't you run outside along with us when the earthquake was shaking the house? Asked the rich man. The monk said, I ran, just like you all did. It's just that I ran inwards while the rest of you ran outwards. People always run towards the place where they feel secure, said the monk. But running outwards is nothing but a waste of energy. You see, the earthquake was everywhere. It was here, it was downstairs, and it was even outside the building. It had consumed the whole city. So where were you running to? But you could survive if you ran outside, said the man. The monk smiled and said, I ran just like you all did, but I ran inwards. I know a place within me that no earthquake could ever reach. A place so divine that fear cannot touch it, a place so peaceful that nothing from the outside world could ever influence it. You may not understand the direction I ran towards because you've only learnt running outwards. I may not have used my body or even moved, but I ran nonetheless. I left the body and retreated to that sacred sanctum in me that is infinite. It is a place that doesn't know death or time and connects me to the source. When you reach that space within you, then all the anxiety and fear cease to exist because they're merely an illusion. Death can no longer scare you, for the body may die, but you do not. In the moment of my death, I would like to retreat to this sanctum within me. So that is what I did when the city was shaking. We're all going to leave this body at some point. The idea is to be mindful while we leave. Live in a meditative state, and when it's time to go to the other side, do it in a meditative state. In this story, what the monk offered the man was the nectar of truth squeezed out of his own soul. He gave the man wisdom that would last an eternity if he chose to drink from it. Everyone should drink that nectar of truth. Drink it and lose yourself in the beauty of what you experience. Each time you feel like it, retreat to your inner sanctum to connect with the divine self. Do not wait for an earthquake to retreat to your sanctum. Do it in your wakefulness. When it becomes your second nature to retreat to your inner self, then it would feel like going home, and that's when you would know that no earthquake can touch you. A lot of people spend their entire life worrying about their attachments instead of mindfully spending their life. They worry because they're attached to money. They worry because they're attached to their job or partners or friends or what have you. And when the moment of death arrives, they realize that they've spent their life on things that do not matter in the end. It is said that when you die, your entire life flashes right before your eyes. You relive your life in your final moments. Just like 100 flowers are crushed to obtain one drop of natural perfume, in the same way, death will squeeze your life into that one moment that will flash in front of your eyes in your last breath. If all that flashes in front of you is just a life wasted on materialism, trivial matters, and a shoddy culture, then what good is that going to do to you? But on the other hand, if you live your life like the monk in our story, meditative even in a wakeful state, you will soon find your inner sanctum. When you find it, you will be at eternal peace, and when you live life with compassion and mindfulness, you'd be happy to witness what flashes in front of you in the final moments. Instead of death, the final moments will then seem just like a pilgrimage to the other side. As you begin your journey to become more Zen and meditative, you will encounter a lot of resistance from your own mind. This is because meditation is no mind, and it is the death of your ego. Your ego will try to distract you from your path by luring you into worldly traps. But if you strive to move towards your inner self, you will reach a point where the sun will rise again and you'll reach an inner paradise. It is best to leave you with the words of Sufi poet Rumi, who said, "Study me as much as you like, you will not know me, for I differ in 100 ways from what you see me to be. Put yourself behind my eyes and see me as I see myself, for I have chosen to dwell in a place you cannot see."